Whenever you're ready.
Once we're deep, going deep, Chad and JT.
Oh, okay, cool. My headphones must be down. Sorry.
What's up, Stokers of Stoke Nation? This is Chad Kroger coming in with the Going Deep with Chad and JT podcast. Before we get started, we want to once again remind you that we are brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped, thank you so much for keeping our trims pubed, for looking after our groinal regions and making sure that we are all safe in that area and well-groomed.
And I've got some hot, good copy for him because a stoker wrote in and he said he was a little annoyed with how much we were plugging Manscaped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which we did when they weren't even paying us. So it really is for love of the game.
Yeah.
And
love of the skate.
And then the stoker said in a drunken blackout, he ordered the Lawn Mower 2.0, tried it, and now he's not annoyed by the ads anymore.
There you go. There you go. You just got to stay Manscaped. Sal, do you Manscape?
Are you kidding me? I mean, if my area was not properly manicured, I think I don't even know if I'd be sitting here right now.
There you have it.
That's Sal
Stokers.
Masekela.
It's life-altering groomage.
Exactly.
I think Dave Chappelle said it once, right? He said, "Are your balls smooth like these?"
Look the part, be the part.
Exactly.
Manscaping all day. And guys, use code GODEEP at manscaped.com for 20% off your order. Also, there's they're starting a fan giveaway this month. And they want you guys, the fans, to send in your best or worst manscaping stories. Sally can get involved as well. And we'll read them on the show.
The old taint bite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't experienced the taint bite, then you've never really groomed yourself.
It's sort of a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Right? What up?
What can we expound on that? What's the taint bite?
It's when you accidentally nick the seal thread that links together the both
Ziploc
halves, the
bag.
Ziploc, like the taint zip, that sort of looks like threading, skin thread. It's when you nick that by accident.
What a vulnerable area.
It's a super vulnerable area because it's the only raised part of skin. It's like a piece of cord that they couldn't get in the ground.
So can I tell you something straight up? I appreciate you going in so strong with us on the manscaping.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been doing
nice.
it for a long time, so I can speak on it.
Awesome.
Also, maybe they'll send me some stuff.
Hey, yeah, you can get in on the giveaway.
Two birds with one clean ball area.
Dude, the best or worst
I had
story.
a friend who almost ended up with one ball area yesterday.
What happened?
What happened?
There's something called torsional test something.
I had that.
You had it.
When I was in 5th grade.
My buddy
Testicular
is
torsion.
Testicular torsion.
Yeah.
He had to have emergency
TT.
TT surgery.
Dude, yeah.
Yesterday at 32.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Almost lost they saved him. 2-hour surgery.
Cuts off circulation.
So he's going in. They're like, hey, we're going to put you under. And when you come out of this, there's a 50% chance you only have 50% of your balls.
And that you might never be able to procreate.
He's got no kids.
He doesn't have kids, but he'd like to.
Yeah.
Dude.
It was scary. Yeah, I was in 5th
Stakes are
grade.
high.
I was in 5th grade. It was a very vulnerable moment because my nut swelled up. It was like huge. And it hurt. And like, I didn't want to tell my mom. I'd be like, Mom, like, my nut hurts.
You're carrying around a big nut of shame.
I had to work it up for like an hour, and finally I'm like,
You're
Mom.
still even unaware at that point, but how any of that, what's happening down there?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I had the surgery. I went back to school, and I'm like, I can't do PE, guys. They're like, why not? I'm like, don't worry about it. Little did they know I had
Huge balls.
stitches on my sack.
Oh, right.
But not because of manscaping. But if I had manscaped then, I'm pretty sure I would not have gotten testicular torsion.
I believe it. Yeah.
TT.
Yeah.
You would have been hanging out with
T-squared.
different people, doing different stuff. Your whole life would have been different.
I just got this one part in. So, guys, if you get your best or worst story, the best or worst story gets $500 to spend on the Manscaped site. That's a whole lot of ball tonic.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. That's like 10 Lawnmower 2.0s.
Sounds like Christmas.
Yeah.
And guys, the voice you're hearing right now is none other than Sal Masekela. You know him as the host of the X Games for 13 years.
Affirmative.
From from Vice, so many different places.
Red Bull Media House.
National Geographic.
National Geographic. Thank you.
The World Cup in South Africa.
Thank you. Also that.
Oh, and the Olympics.
Yes, that too.
That's cool.
NBA.
NBA.
In the
Did
NBA.
did a season as a sideline reporter of the Western Conference for ESPN and ABC.
How was that?
The NBC. It was magic. It was incredible.
Who's your
awesome.
favorite guy to rap with on the side?
At that time, it was probably Shaq because I had to hold the microphone up so
He's
so high.
huge.
Yeah, Shaq was amazing. Yeah, it was
Because he
crazy.
likes talking, right? He likes being on camera
Yeah,
and
and
stuff.
he's super funny and cracking jokes and
Yeah.
raining sweat down on me.
Who is the worst?
Oof.
Can I pry?
No, you can. I can't remember his name now.
Who'd he play for?
Played for the Nets at the time. It'll come to me. There was so you'd go before the
Darren
games.
Williams?
No, it wasn't. That was pre Darren Williams. And Darren Williams was on the Jazz then.
Kenyon Martin?
Kenyon Martin. Thank you.
That is who it was?
It was Kenyon Martin.
Gosh darn, I got it.
Really good. Thank you. You saved me. So before the games, you're in there pregame to ask some questions. You get like 20 minutes in the locker room. I'm chill. I see Kenyon by his locker, and I said, "Hey, can I get a couple questions from you before the game?" And we met before. I'd interviewed him a few times before, and it'd always been chill. And he looked around me and said, "Can I take my motherfucking chains off first?" And
Dude, that's how he played. He had that same energy.
and I was taken aback that I didn't realize that his chains would get in the way of our exchange. And he had layers of gold, maybe a little bit of platinum at the time.
Right.
And I was so taken aback that I just said, okay,
You bailed?
Not today.
Did you get nervous to approach players?
No,
No.
I didn't. I think that's why the players really got along with me because I didn't speak to them like a ball. They call it like a jock sniffer.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to
Yeah,
him.
jersey chaser.
Yeah, I really spoke to him more as like
buddy.
as a buddy. We talk about hip hop. We talk about. They were always. It was crazy how much they were curious about the X Games.
Yeah.
And so there was a little bit of like mutual curiosity to help break the ice.
Because that's something they can't do, right? They can't wrap their heads around.
Yeah,
like,
so they just
dudes
wanted all
hucking
about it. And you
double
didn't,
backflips.
yeah, you didn't realize that they were watching that, in practice or whatever. They'd have the X Games on in the locker room or something like that. So it was a fun experience, man.
That's cool. Yeah, it's cool to be talking to you because I've been watching you honestly since
Dude,
like,
I had the same thought.
I was like a kid.
I raised you guys.
You've been in my
Yeah.
life a long time.
I really, yeah. The X Games. What were you?
That's what people say to me all the time. Like, you raised me. I'm like, fuck. I guess
You didn't know
I
you were
did.
doing all
Dude,
that.
you did.
Yeah.
You, Taco Bell, Mountain Dew. Is,
Your mama never calls me back.
How'd you get that gig at the X? Because I kind of know a little bit of your backstory because I listened to you on a couple podcasts, and it got me more jacked
You
to
did some
talk to you.
precasting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did some precasting homework.
Me
And dude,
too.
you were fire on these podcasts.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. I enjoy the format.
Yeah, it got me more jacked to talk to you. I was like, holy fuck, it's gonna be good.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, now it's just a lot of fucking pressure.
Sorry, dude, it's all on you, but I know you're gonna deliver.
How did I get started? So,
Transurf receptionist.
yeah, I worked at
sales.
Transworld Snowboarding and Skateboarding magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, when I got that job as a receptionist there, that was like a life-saving moment. That was the equivalent of me getting accepted into like a 4-year, like big-time school.
yeah.
Like almost like a scholarship, but as a receptionist. Because I was a surfer, skater, and snowboarder, and I'd consistently been losing lots of jobs up to that point for chasing the lifestyle, i.e. like calling in sick and getting caught because the waves were good.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. And people just not taking you seriously because you still were I was really like ingrained in living this lifestyle. Work was a means to do the thing. And I had started late with all those sports. Like at 16 and a half, I started surfing and snowboarding. I'd been skating at like 14, 15. But my point is, like, I had never gotten to the point where I could be good enough to like compete, but I still wanted to live the life. And my parents were like frustrated. They didn't understand what that meant. Your friends are coming home from college, like graduating, like they got jobs and cars, and some of them are getting married. Like, what are you doing? Like, just working at the bank and like picking up some shifts at night, bartending, and like, okay. And then you'd be like, do you still surf? Like, no. Like, all right, well, who's the asshole here?
Yeah.
Because it had really changed my life. When I moved to Southern California, there was something, I was in this place. I grew up in New York City. I moved to SoCal.
And you were in the
late.
same class as Method Man? Is that
In
true?
Staten Island, yeah.
That's on your Wikipedia.
I went to elementary school with Method Man, a.k.a. Clifford Smith. And we were in the same classes together from probably like first grade all the way to 6th or 7th.
Are you still in touch at all?
Yeah, I got a gig at MTV, which was one of my first really big gigs in TV, and it was the MTV Sports and Music Festival. And they're like, "So you're gonna do the vert ramp, and your co-hosts are gonna be Method Man and Redman." I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And probably like 4 or 5 years, not even like 4 or 5 years earlier, I had come home from school from work one day, and I lived at a house with a bunch of guys, and guys are sitting around drinking beers and watching MTV because that was a thing that we did back then. Just come home and watch videos.
Yeah, watch
Talk
TRL
shit. Maybe
all the time.
Maybe some girls would come over. Life was easy.
Sounds good.
And there was no gram. And this video comes on for 36 Chambers, and I'm looking at this dude who's got this, this grill, and he's got this incredible raspy voice. And I stood up in the middle of the living room like, "Yo, I know that dude." And all these bros are like, "No way. You don't know that guy. Get the fuck out of here." I'm like, "No, I went to school with that dude in New York. That's Clifford Smith. That's my man's." Went to my mom's house, dug through the school pictures. Sure enough, like you could just see we're like arm in arm. Like, but I'm like, just crazy. Fast
I
forward.
picture him with the 5 o'clock shadow even as a kid.
As a kid,
For sure.
Yeah.
he was. You know what was interesting about Meth was he came from a really, really, really horrible background.
Really?
Like parents did not have much. He was a kid who like didn't have money for school pictures and things like that, and wore the same clothes every day. And people would like tease him and shit because kids are stupid.
Yeah.
And then he ends up being, that dude. So anyway, we had that we had our reunion backstage at MTV, and he was high
That's
as hell
cool.
and rolls up on me. He's like, "Yo," I was like, "Yo, man, I'm Salema," because no one. My full name is Salema. People didn't call me Sal until I moved to California because, SoCal kids are like, "That's hard, dude." Salema, like, maybe you could shorten it, like, "Oh, we're gonna call you Sal, dude." and I didn't have any choice in the matter. It just became
Right.
Sal. And I was like, "Yo, Meth, like, Cliff." I said, "Clifford."
Yeah.
He looked at me like, "Who are you to call me by my government name?" I said, "It's Salema." And he just lost it. He's like, "Oh, shit. Yo, this is my fan. This is my fan." Boom. Next thing you know, like, we're hugging, etc. That ended up leading to the craziest hotbox in a van with him, Capadonna, Method Man, and DMX that I will never forget.
And DMX.
And DMX.
Oh,
Like, imagine,
wow.
like, being in a van with these dudes, 5 in baseball bat size joints being passed around.
Yeah.
With like the strongest weed you've ever smoked in your life, like the shit that you saw in movies only, and like you're trying to keep up, and then you walk out and you're like, "I don't know where I am. I think I'm dead." At one point, I passed a joint around late or something. And I just hear, this is how I discovered it was DMX. Someone was behind me in a van. It's dark. You're in Tennessee, like 5 black men in a van in Memphis, Tennessee, smoking weed. Like, you're already like, stakes are high. And I just hear, "Hey, you're fucking up the rotation." Huh? And I turn around and
First I'm going to puff, then I'm going to pass. Yeah.
and like, "Oh shit, it's DMX in here." Oh, and Redman was in the car too, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah. But anyway, working at the magazine sort of opened me up to this whole industry. I ended up getting jobs at different brands and started doing marketing and team managing athletes, and you'd take turns at different events because back then they weren't like big sponsored events. They were just endemic events that your friends from different companies were putting on. All these companies were like basically started by kids like us who basically like their parents were like, "Okay, sure, Jimmy, you want to start a snowboard company? All you need is 50 grand. Here you go." And that's how a lot of these brands were born. And you take turns on the mic, being like, talking shit about the run and entertaining the crowd. And people started putting the mic in my hand more and more. And I started to get a reputation like, "Yo, if you're doing a contest or a demo at a shop or whatever, you should call this guy. He can't shut up." And that's really how over time.
Was that were you that guy in the group? Like, were you the talker of all your friends?
Yeah, I was for sure that guy. I enjoyed not trying to be funny for the sake of being funny. I could find the humor in just about anything.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the shit out of life. So, I was the person who was making up songs or raps or whatever and just inserting pop culture in the conversation. And I grew up with my father was a performer. My father was a trumpet player.
Musician.
Yeah.
South Africa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he was the
legendary.
father of
Yeah.
jazz music in South Africa.
Yes, the father of jazz music in South Africa, and also like this sort of genre of music called world music, basically, where he was borrowing from like Cuban and Brazilian influence and you know, bebop jazz and African music and stirring the pot and playing shit that people were like, yo, what is that? And so my earliest memories with my father was watching him on stage, you know, and not just as a player, but also as this commanding like storyteller / comedian / activist as well, because he's a political exile during apartheid in South Africa. So he could layer all these things. So I learned kind of how to have an affinity for that from him.
And he wrote a song about Nelson Mandela, right? Because Nelson wrote a letter to him from jail.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 1984, I believe, or 85, my dad gets a letter in New York City. He lives in Harlem at the time, and it's from Nelson Mandela. He's like, wait, what? He opens it up, and it's like, hey, dear Hugh, want you to know that we appreciate the work that you're doing out there, and keep up the good work, you know, keep telling them about South Africa. And my father's like, wait, this dude's in prison. He's been in prison for 20 some odd years, and he's writing a letter to me telling me to stay strong and keep up the good work. And he just walks up to a piano and starts playing a few chords, and the chorus came out immediately, bring back Nelson Mandela. And then that ended up being this huge sort of freedom anthem that he ended up playing around the world with Paul Simon on the Graceland tour. And
Wow.
it was it was amazing.
That's awesome. Do you ever feel pressure to follow in his footsteps?
I did in elementary school and junior high school especially, because one of the great things about growing up in New York was that they put instruments in our hands early, and yet the arts are super celebrated, and you're taking field trips to Broadway, and you know, you're going to the Brooklyn Academy of Music and shit. Like at a very young age, you're being pumped with the importance of art and culture. And I think it was second or third grade. You know, there was literally like a room with a bunch of instruments. Like, okay, kids, pick one. And that's when I started playing. I started playing clarinet at first, much to the chagrin of my father. He was just like, wait, what? My son, you should play brass. And I was like, no, Dad, I like this one. Plus all the cute girls.
That was like, were you like subtly rebelling, or you just like that one
No,
more?
it was just dumb, like little, not even dumb, just like actually all the cute girls were in the woodwind section.
Okay.
So the focus was strong with this one at an early age, like second, third grade. Like,
It clicks for some dudes young, yeah.
I want to be with them. Those guys all suck anyway. And it worked out good. I dated like most of those girls ended up being the loves of my like elementary to junior high life.
Good move.
And we're all still really good friends to this day.
Are you really?
Yeah, from my first band, which is crazy. And we would go and compete against other schools, but when your last name is Masekela and your dad's a huge jazz icon and he lives in the city and everyone knows him, you know, teachers would be expected, like, oh, well, I'm teaching Hugh Masekela's son. And you don't really know what that means, but the pressure was real as I got older. And my dad, you know, he, like any musician in the 60s and 70s who has a lot of stardom, he's battling like addiction and things like that. So our relationship sort of fluctuates up and down. And at a certain point, it did start to be a little bit of like, well, yeah, I have a natural ability for this thing, but I'm not going to let anybody, I don't want to be that. So I started doing it less.
Was that intense when you were like, would you go with him on tour and like be with him and his bandmates and all
That was fun.
people around that?
That was amazing. So, crazy story. I mentioned Paul Simon and the Graceland tour.
Yeah.
That was like one of the biggest albums of the late 80s. And it was a huge, massive tour. I don't think it sold like 17 million albums or something like that. And my father made it possible for Paul Simon to go to South Africa and make music with those musicians, which was a big deal in the midst of apartheid in like 85, 86. He basically made like he was going on there in like a curiosity mission, and then on the low was recording this album with black musicians. Like, not something you could do at the time. Ends up being this incredible, you know, global changing album. And Paul says to my dad, thank you. Like, you're coming on tour with me and you're a headliner. Like, it's Paul Simon Graceland tour, but Hugh Masekela gets his hour, and Ladysmith Black Mambazo, and Miriam Makeba. And I went with I hadn't seen my dad in a few years during that time, and my mother and I go to see, he calls me and says, hey, we're doing this tour. And by that time, like, the Call Me Al video was on MTV every day. And my mom's, I said, Mom, my dad called, and, you know, he's playing with Paul Simon. He's inviting us down to Radio City Music Hall. So we go, she calls him, etc., having a blast, end up staying for a few extra days. And on the third night, Paul says to me, I'm 15 and a half. He says, hey, Salema, it'd be really cool if I think you need to spend a little bit more time with your father. I'm taking my son on tour with us for a little bit. His son Harper's like, you should come on tour with us. We're going to Australia for a few months. It's like, look, Paul Simon, I'm in school. My stepfather is never going to go for that in no way, shape, or form. He's like, let me talk to your mother.
Yeah.
After the show, my mom loved Paul Simon. Like, he was like a deity. I watch him, Paul take mom to the side, and I see her nodding, etc. I'm thinking there's no way this is going to happen. And sure enough, she walks back, and he looks at me. He's like, all set. My dad's in shock, because my dad had told Paul, there's no way his mother's going to go for it, man. You're crazy. And 3 weeks later, I was on the road as a roadie with Paul Simon, my dad, Ladysmith Black Mambazo, and my parents took me out of school for 2.5 months. And you know that movie Almost Famous?
Yeah.
Lived that.
Wow.
Like, I lived that times 30.
So you got to see all the artists up close and see like their warts and see them kind of
All of it.
Yeah, not be like the confident superstars on stage, but like the
All of it.
insecure, needy person off of it.
Groupies and blow and all the things that like you didn't even know existed. So you're looking at it from a weird periphery, and also just it was just amazing. Like, I'm touring the world on a rock tour at 15. You know, and seeing Australia. It actually was interesting because that was the first place I saw surfing for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, that's like breakdancing on water.
Yeah, it's like an art.
Yeah, and I was a b-boy growing up, and breaking was a huge part of me. I was like, if I ever got a chance to do that, I would do that.
Yeah.
But so it kind of normalized all that excess. So like, did that help you like now because you talk to celebrities so much, or do you feel like being around that as a kid kind of gave you the tools to just be like whatever about it?
It definitely helped me. That's a really great piece of insight, because it helped me to not be intimidated by people. And I think it was the reason why when I started meeting like the Tony Hawks and the Terry Hawkinsons of the world and all those, you know, everyone coming up in those different eras, it was like, no offense, like, you guys are the shit. But like,
Nelson Mandela talks to my dad.
Like, I've met Nelson Mandela. Like, by the time I worked at Transworld, like, I had hung out with Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking to some skaters, telling his origin story. You're like, that's a great origin story. Let me tell you about one of my buddies' origin stories. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely growing up in and around. I mean, as a little kid, I would go to when my dad had me on the weekends. I would go with him to the club at like 5-6 years old, and we'd be hanging out till like 2 or 3 in the morning. It would be like Dizzy Gillespie. It would be like Miles Davis. It would be like Stevie Wonder, and I just got used to that. That was kind of.
They're just dudes.
They were dudes that like smoked J's and with my dad.
Did they ever do anything embarrassing?
Never. Jazz dudes don't.
They're cool all the
They're
time.
the coolest dudes on earth. They're incapable of like anything embarrassing.
Do you still get starstruck at all?
I do, sure. There's people that I'm a fan of that I can't believe that I even kind of know, that when I see them or if they like comment on something on social media, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
How is that even a thing? But yeah, I still get starstruck. I have a working relationship with Morgan Freeman.
Wow.
Because I did his show, The Story of God, on Nat Geo, and then went to his company and pitched him an idea for a show, and he's like, okay, cool, we'll do it, and I'll come on board as an executive producer. So we're taking out a show together right now. And I'm like, you sit in conversations, and I'm like, I did a panel with him at the upfronts, and I'm sitting on this panel. Like, I just look over a couple of times, like, yeah, that's him. Like, this is really fucking happening.
I'm talking to God.
I'm like, I'm rolling with God. Like, it's nuts. Yeah. Cat Power. I don't know if you guys are fans.
Yeah, the singer.
The singer, someone who I've loved forever. And one day there was like at first I saw a like, I was like, that can't be. And then it was like a comment with like emojis, and I was like, I'm good. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, Cat Power.
Yeah, I
It's
never
crazy.
even imagined something this wonderful could happen to me. Like, life is so full of unexpected gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I met, like, when they sent me to Vegas to interview Jay-Z when I was at E, I was like, send Sal. He'll be perfect. And I also lobbied for it. I was like, wait, Jay's opened up the 40/40 Club. It should be me. I'm the only me here. I literally was the Han Solo Negro at the time, so I was like angling. And, Jay was a superhero. And I waited for like what felt like hours for him to show up in classic hip hop form. And I'm starting to think like maybe he's not going to show. Like, he's got the show tonight, etc. And then some people show up, start walking in, and I just hear Sal Masekela. Ha ha ha. The worst Jay-Z imitation.
That was
ever
very good.
Yeah,
But
I liked it.
It was Jay, and he said my name before I stood up, and then he starts like quoting me my discography, like X Games, etc. Been watching you. It's on. And next thing you know, like, we have this great interview, and he's like, when are you going home? I said, tomorrow. He's like, no, you're not. You're staying. Stay, go to the show. Ended up going to the blackjack tables with him that night. Like, it was the craziest, one of the craziest nights of my life.
What do you think makes for a great interview?
Listening makes for a great interview. I think a lot of times people go in and they got this list of questions and ideas and like, I'm just going to crush it.
I have it in my head right now. Yeah.
Which is good. That means you're prepared. But if someone gives you something that you weren't expecting and there's an opportunity to like go further, and like you have to put on your audience vibe. Like, what would someone who's sitting on their couch or in their car right now listening, what would they ask next? And if you can, I think, play between what your choices are and what your subject is giving you, then you always win. Because if the subject sounds amazing, you just win by default. It took me a long time to learn that. I used to ask the longest, most drawn-out questions where I basically was telling them everything that I wanted them to say. And ESPN was a great place for learning that, because there was just like, you'd go to seminars and you'd be in a room with like every single broadcaster. They'd fly people out for like 48 hours and do these intense seminars. And they would throw your shit up on the screen of like what not to do.
Really?
Oh.
And there'd be someone on the stage with a mic.
Did he know it was coming?
No. Oh, no. I remember the first time it happened to me. It was like, you're sitting there next to, like, in the same row as Stuart Scott and in all the heavies. And you're just, but they're all getting thrown under the bus, too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And no one was
That's
immune.
fair.
Yeah. How often would it happen to you?
It would happen. I think like 2 or 3 times I got crushed.
Yeah.
But the few times that they did play me as an example was such a big deal of how to do it right. Was such a big deal because most of the broadcasters at ESPN, like, quietly and not so quietly, like, mocked the fact that I was even there. Like,
because you came from the X Games culture.
Like, this isn't the gridiron. It's not the NBA. This isn't the MLB. Skateboarding, snowboarding. I can't even believe we have to do those highlights in SportsCenter. Fuck you guys. That's like their dialogue when they're like, hey, nice to meet you. That's their inner sentence that they're saying to you. And a lot of times...
Who is that, like Craig Kilborn? Who are we talking about?
Craig Kilborn was actually real cool. Only person who ever... Craig Kilborn, the only person who ever had me on a late night show.
Oh, really?
When he used to host
Show.
He had late night on CBS. The year that I was doing the NBA, he was the only person who had me on.
Okay, so he's a legend.
Yeah, he's a legend. But there were plenty of others who, like, were horrible. And some who were really cool. Like Brent Musburger was the coolest dude ever. Like, that guy mentored me.
Really?
Yeah, I worked on... Brent Musburger was my play-by-play guy while I was sidelining. And so we were traveling the country together. And he'd be like, Sal, you're going to come and meet me downstairs for a post-game brew? I'm like, yes, Brent, I will be down. And I'd sit in the hotel bar with him, and he'd tell me stories and talk about the ponies because he loved to gamble. And he would be upfront with me about like how I could get better. And you're sitting there with a fucking like a legend, one of the greatest voices in the history of sports, and iconic. And he's everywhere we went. He'd be like, "Do you know Sal Masekela? This is my guy, Sal. You got to pay attention to him. He's all you see him out there on the X Games, but he's flexible. He's gonna go a long way." Like, and you'd be like throwing up, you know, to the haters, be like, "Musburger bitches,
Yeah.
back the fuck off." That's the cosign that I dreamt of. I remember, it was a trip.
That's cool.
That must have been nice so when you had him in your corner, you felt like, all right, I got some cachet here now.
It felt great, yeah. But also like that first, I'd never gotten real criticism before the year that I did the NBA, because no one's writing about you the next day in the sports pages.
And you were the first one at the X Games, so there was like no one to kind of compare you to almost.
No one to compare to, and it just didn't matter. Like they still weren't taking the Bob Burnquists and the Travis Pastranas and the Shaun Whites. Like the mainstream sports still weren't taking them seriously in the early 2000s. It was like, you know, nah, this isn't a real thing, and we can't even believe it's on TV.
Yeah.
And so when I went to do the NBA, I remember the first time like there was just a whole write-up of me on USA Today.
Really?
Yeah. And this guy like just eviscerated the very idea that he said. It was so brilliant. It was something like he shouldn't even have a media pass to get into the game, let alone hold the microphone and ask questions on the sidelines to represent the game.
Did it take a while for you to sort of like break into the other sports? Like, did you always feel like a little bit like an outsider coming from extreme sports? Or
No, I was a massive fan of the game.
Yeah.
Like basketball was the thing that I played. I played pickup ball every day. It was in the water in the daytime and playing basketball at night. Like I was a huge fan of basketball. So it was I never even thought about like, oh, that people are gonna care. So it was a real slap in the face. I remember there was a legendary sports writer by the name of Peter Vesey who had also been on air at the time at NBC. I was a huge fan. Open up the Post one day and this motherfucker just destroys my existence. And it was like, and they never. I think the thing that hurt the most wasn't just getting the criticism. It was that they weren't criticizing what I had to say or my approach to the game. It was that I came from this world, I had dreadlocks, and I didn't speak like a broadcaster. I spoke more from the perspective of a fan. And the fans liked it and the players liked it, but for those guys, it was like, well, where did this? They didn't feel like I earned it. Like it.
Right, it wasn't like the journalism school method of
like you didn't do 3 years in Topeka,
right?
You know, covering like AAA and you know whatever.
They resented your route.
Division IV football. You didn't put in the time at the local. Like you're prime timing on ESPN already on some shit that we don't even consider a sport. Fuck you. I wish that was me. And now you're in my shit. Nah.
How'd you process that? Like, were you hard on yourself after, or did you learn to sort of push it aside?
It was very, really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for it. That was like getting T-boned, smiling with the top down as you're driving through the light. Next thing you know, you're like in slow motion, like, oh, am I in a car accident? And it affected me on camera. I started thinking too much about what people might think of me, and I had to. It was probably the best thing that ever happened, in that I learned to get tough skin.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, not everyone's gonna like you, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's like when you see those negative comments, it's almost like a punch in the gut. You know.
Yeah,
just crack.
And sometimes they're very like perceptive. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
when they're perceptive.
I'm not saying that about you, but like sometimes when I read comments about myself, I'll be like, oh man, I was like, he drilled me.
Yeah.
Like good work, bro. Like,
I actually respect when they're creative and it's actual criticism.
Yeah.
I've gotten better from the actual criticism. It's the shit that's hate fueled. For a little while, there were these guys that had set up fake Twitter accounts in my name with my likeness before that shit started getting policed early in Twitter. And these dudes were horrible. It was like racist as could be, and they talk about how my dad had opened the door for me, and if my father wasn't famous, I wouldn't be on television, which no one cared no one in that world.
And
knew anything
skateboarding
about
was like, wait, your
Yeah.
dad's a legendary jazz musician?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Come right on in.
Yeah.
Like no one knew, and it was great because I got to just operate on my own.
Yeah.
And make
Yeah.
my own name for myself. And so yeah, when that shit started happening, that was really, really crazy. And I ended up finding out who the dude was.
Really?
And he was this like salty BMX dude.
Oh, really?
Named Catfish.
Who had like a vendetta on you?
Yeah, he had a straight up vendetta. And
Catfish?
This dude Catfish. And I mean, the accounts were horrible. He's the only person that, to this day, if I saw in real life, it'd be very hard for me not to catch a case. Because I just remember the shit that he wrote. I remember how much it affected me and how much like he just took these horrible shots at my family.
Did you ever reach out to him and say, hey, man, I know it's you who's doing this?
No, we had a mutual friend, and they used to do a show together. And I remember calling him up like, yo, your man's student not safe if I see him. And my friend was in a rough place because we were really good friends, and he didn't know that this dude was doing this. He's like, you don't understand, he's a good guy. You know, he's just having like, nah, I'm just telling you, like, I can't see him alone. I can't see him in a place where, even to this day, especially in the way, like, since my father passed for some reason, like, I think whenever I had to unfollow and block him years and years and years ago. But yeah, it's crazy. I'm talking about it right now and being like, oh wow, you should probably go to therapy.
You still
about
got
this.
some heat on it.
I got
Yeah.
some little bit of heat on this, and this is like a decade ago.
Do you feel less more fearless since your dad passed? Because I know I got into a fist fight with my dad one time, and then when I came home, like he was living in Montana, I came back to LA. I was like looking to fight like everybody for a couple months. You know,
losing your father there's just nothing that prepares you for it. It's been a year and a half for me now. You can have all the empathy in the world for people when they lose a parent, and you've been there for them, right? And you feel some texture of it, but you've been there for them, and you console them, and you're like, okay, they'll be okay. And then when it happens to you, you're just like, this is the most foreign. These are the most foreign, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual feelings that I just never knew existed, and they eat your soul, and they come in these crazy waves, and you just get reshaped as a human being. Like, you're not the same afterwards.
My dad's super sick right now, so I'm kind of looking down the barrel of it a little bit.
And I'm sorry, man. I know what that is. My dad had prostate cancer.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
And it was
Thank you.
It was a long, my dad had it twice. First time beat it, the second time, 3 years. And I remember I was in the office with the oncologist, when it came out, like one of those shitty movies, and he sits down and says, well, clinically as fuck, like, you have stage 4 your prostate cancer, and throw up the screen and show you all the places where, your body's riddled, and here's your life expectancy. Not like you're going to get better, but you should try and live the best life you can. And you just want to jump over the table and like attack this person.
I wanted to attack my dad's surgeon. He came in and like looked at his phone for like the first 5 seconds before he told us how the surgery went. And a lot of these doctors, I think they need that arrogance for some reason, but I was like just angry.
Yeah. I think it's so clinical for them what they do. And they deal with so much, like death is a reality to them. That it's like going to see the car guy.
They have to detach in some way.
They detach a lot of them in a very cold manner that keeps them safe. That you just doesn't feel human.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, man.
Oh, thank you, dude.
Yeah.
No, it means a lot. Thank you. Yeah, I was like, I should say something because, but I'm sorry for you too.
No, I get it, and just trust that it's a journey and make the most of it. It will serve you. It will absolutely serve you. They're going to, I don't know where your dad's at, but they're going to give you what they're going to give you, and it might not be what you want, and you got to be okay with that.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's that push and pull every day with like what I want from him, and then like where he's at.
Yeah,
you know
what
I mean?
you hope he's going to say, and what you want to talk about.
And he does a good job too,
Yeah.
I have to say. He's very generous in that respect.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But then some days it's like the
Some
complete
days it's,
opposite.
it's the worst.
But he's got a good average. Yeah,
Good.
like Hall of Famer.
I
Yeah.
wish him and your family the absolute best, man.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Wow.
We just went to a place.
And no,
It was nice,
it was
man.
deep.
Yeah.
We started off with like
I got
the
a little
cleanest.
squirrely.
I was
We started off with the groomiest balls, and then we just went straight to
moved.
parent death.
Yeah.
I was just taking it in.
Yeah. It's a journey, man, and this is, I think, one of the gifts I've been given in having a career for 2 decades is, all the layers of what that is, and I can't believe that I still get to sit here with you guys and be relevant. You're telling me when I walk in that you were watching me when you were kids, and we're sitting here having a conversation about life. It's just a gift.
Yeah, it's special.
I think your sort of life story and career is cool because it's, especially with your dad being a musician, it's sort of like you found your own art in like surfing, skating, snowboarding, and then with broadcasting.
It became my own music.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to get out from under the idea of what people expected me to be. And I was able to find a place where my name didn't matter. It could have been Smith. It took a very long time for anyone to recognize it in any way, shape, or form. And I was able to carve my own deal, not even knowing that that's where it was going. It wasn't like, I'm going to have a career in this. It was just like, oh, wait, someone else wants to give me a job that's not a real job? Sweet.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like maybe 2 or 3 years into to X Games, when I was still a sideline reporter, where someone took me aside because I was the little guy who was out every night sending it and doing it as you should. And when you're like, wow, I work at ESPN, this is amazing. They're giving me money with zeros on it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Where someone had to take me aside, be like, hey, you could lose this all. And also, this could all be yours. And I was like, what do you mean this could all be yours? Like, you could be the host of this whole shit. They want you to be this. You're going to have to step your game up and stop saying, like, I would always talk about ESPN as like, you guys need to do this, and it's cheesy when you do this, and you need to start saying we. And you need, like, to show that you're here for the job you want, not the temporary one that you presently have. Did
you try to limit your partying or any of that kind of stuff? Like, or do you still party? Like, how's that? Have you found that balance?
I'm old. B,
Yeah.
yes, balance for sure. I mean, I used to go out like 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, that's just the job.
We had Chris Cote on, and he was telling us about that. He's been sober, I think, like 2 years. But
Yeah.
he said he was just.
Oh, he was
boozing hard.
Fullsend.com.
Yeah.
And everyone's doing it, right? I mean, it's like action sports stars. They probably get after it, right? Because it kind of feeds into the ethos.
They work hard and they play hard. And these days, there's just too much money, and
they got to be careful.
People handle their business, and it's not until the event is over that people go hard. And even then, like, it's become so jocked out that there's only it's not what it was. But in the early 2000s, if you were the first guy at the ramp and you didn't have a hangover, you might get shit for it from your other competitors who might be like, who does this dude think he is?
Yeah.
Like, oh, like
you're like a straight A action
he's
sports
out here like
Yeah.
trying to win.
Yeah.
What a concept.
Yeah.
He's out here trying to win, make a name for himself.
But probably underneath it, they're all that competitive.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
But
they're all
was-
acting like, oh, I don't care about winning, but those dudes care.
Yeah, but there was also this thing about the culture that was like, you sent it hard, like when you were out doing the thing, and then you kept on sending it. And it wasn't a healthy culture.
And there was a lot of resentment, like growing up, just peripheral of it. But like I dirt biked and stuff like that. Like no one liked Travis Pastrana. Like no one was like, Travis Pastrana's my favorite guy.
Exactly.
They were like, dude, he's corny. And like the dudes we like have like the boobs in their videos and stuff like that.
He's corny and he like drinks milk and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, how you doing? And
he's a milk
respectful.
chugger.
Like, what's your problem? And the longer that he kicked the shit out of all those dudes, pretty weird how they all started. They might have been like, yeah, I'm in militia, but also like, I was in the gym, don't tell anybody. Like he changed it up for everybody. Same
and you
thing
look
with
at his
Sean.
life now, you're like, he kind of had, maybe his life is like better because of some of those choices he made. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. I mean, he probably could do without like 50 of the 58 surgeries he's had, but
Damn.
But yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. But he also he's the kind of person for whom I think substance would have killed him because his
intensity.
His intensity and his ability to like endure pain and see like, okay, I might break myself 5 times, but I'll get there. Like he had, what was amazing about Travis was he would process the potential, the risk factor, and then choose to be like, that's worth it. And I can see myself doing it again, even if I fuck up. Like I'm not going to die, that's on a dirt bike. You can talk to any of those riders and they'll be like, yeah.
I remember that double backflip.
Oh my God, bro.
Did you see that live?
Yeah, did you see it? Like, watch when ESPN plays the clip. I'm losing my shit
Oh yeah.
in front of the camera. Like,
What's your favorite moment that you commented on?
that one.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
double backflip.
Dude,
Double
I remember
backflip.
seeing that. That was
Yeah.
unreal.
The double backflip, Tony Hawk's 900.
We talked to we had
Yeah.
Tony on like a month ago. And we talked to him about the 900.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
on the ramp. I was standing on the
Where,
ramp.
oh man, yeah. He and Travis Pastrana, I feel like they sort of had to endure that kind of like criticism
Yeah,
for being kind of
the corporate face of this
Yeah.
outsider sport.
Yeah, and then they powered through it, and now they're legends.
There are haters if you like. People still give Tony shit on his own page. Dude's 52 years old now. They're still giving him shit about like conspiracy theories that they heard about the reason why a certain skater didn't get on the game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
like-
you watch other guys. He's like the villain in other dudes' documentaries. Like they're like, and because they had like their 3-year run where they were near
Oh.
the top, and then they're like, but Tony Hawk like didn't want
Yeah.
them to make it.
I mean, to this day, people think that that Tony made it so that Tas Pappas wasn't in the contest the night of the 900, which is just not true.
Yeah.
But there are dudes, salty ass dudes that are probably like 60 that are like, fuck Tony Hawk, man. Fucking poser.
I didn't know there were conspiracy theories around that.
Oh, there's mad
That's
conspiracy.
hilarious.
dude, they're
Hilarious.
around everything. Like I grew up with like friends in AAU basketball, and the
Yeah.
dads used to go on this website like SoCal Hoops and just like trash each other's kids.
Yeah.
Talk shit on the parents. Like,
Could you
just,
imagine? Like, don't you want to talk about?
I would
people,
go on there. I was 12 though, but
Yeah.
I loved it.
But those are the people who should have their kids taken away from them.
Right.
Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like you living vicariously through your kid because you were never able to pull it together, assholes. I see those
Yeah.
people all the time in all the sports, and we see them even in skateboarding and snowboarding now, and especially in surfing.
Yeah.
You go to the beach like at Trestles when you have for nationals or something, and you see these parents who it's like, are you, bro? Your kid's 7. Like this is not the world tour.
You don't tell me how to talk to my son.
Yeah, I wonder.
You call that a cutback? Get your ass to the truck.
Yeah, with like surfing too. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder for like guys like Kolohe and Dino, you know, he comes from like a legendary like Dino and Dino.
Yeah.
And I wonder what it was like growing up into that with like that sort of pressure to surf well.
Yeah, I
because
went in a
most people
totally
get
other
into it
direction.
because
Yeah.
like you said when I first saw surf, it does look like dancing. Like when you see good surfing live, it's
beautiful.
it's beautiful. It's like an
watch
art.
Mikey February.
Yeah.
Watch Mikey February ride a surfboard.
Craig Anderson.
Craig Anderson or Steph Gilmore, and you're just like, can I be 6 foot tall and just gangly and just
Yeah.
Gumby, drop knee, and casually like make things that are that will kill you look easy?
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be fun. It's gorgeous. Like you don't have to be a surfer to know like, hey, what those guys are doing, that looks cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Dane Reynolds.
Oh man.
Still. I used to have on my iTunes like a clip from you were commentating on it, like the Puerto Escondido.
X Games.
Yeah. Oh, it was X Games. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
The
from like
team event.
2006 or something
Yeah.
when Dane Reynolds was coming up. I watched that like 100 times probably because I was
Those were
so in
so
love with
fun.
surfing then. Yeah.
We went to Puerto. I just remember being in Puerto Escondido for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All expenses paid.
Yeah.
With the best surfers in the world, getting pushed in waves that I never dreamt I'd surf, and commentating like this crazy team event of surfing with
Yeah.
the who's who of what would end up being the future of professional surfing.
I heard Puerto is just like it's so heavy that one guy described it as like concrete coming on your head.
It's like, yeah, concrete coming on your head in 2 feet of water,
Mm-hmm.
but also the sand below is also a form of concrete. Like,
It's just
so it's like a concrete on
Sandwich?
on soft concrete sandwich. Yeah. And it's one of those places where you've never seen a wave take shape that way.
yeah.
So it actually like makes you pause. You're like, wait, you can't catch this because it comes out of such deep water and hits the sandbar. So next thing you know, it's like, oh, is that a 2 foot? No, that's a 6-8 footer, and it's gonna eat me, and
Yeah.
you can't go anywhere.
How would you compare Puerto to Blacks?
Blacks in San Diego.
Yeah,
Blacks.
sorry if this is getting too
Blacks
specialized
in
for the
San
it's good,
Diego,
it's good.
La Jolla, adjacent to UCSD. You can see naked people there.
Oh, it's great.
It's a good training ground,
Yeah.
but far softer.
Far softer.
Far
yeah.
softer. And it's and blacks is a
heavy.
heavy weight. Blacks will fuck you up at like 2 feet.
Yeah, it has the underwater canyon, so really, it's good
Ooh.
stuff.
Pulling from deep.
You like that?
The blue is a strong choice.
Sal just had his first sip of the blue
Yeah,
drink.
I'll take that.
I believe it's almond milk. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
It's almond milk with a little bit of like
A little bit of nothing.
a little nutmeg.
Yeah.
Tastes some nutmeg
A little
in
bit
it.
of blue.
It's got E3 tricholitis.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's favorite.
Those probiotics are going to help you so much.
Yes. We're all gonna have great poos tonight, folks.
So I want to ask you some more like interviewing questions.
Sure.
So you've probably interviewed more high athletes than anybody in history, right?
Like athletes who are stoned at the time?
Yeah. No, maybe not.
No. I mean maybe no.
What do you think?
I did Snoop Dogg's pocket GGN though.
But do you
Boy,
think
he was high as fuck.
do you think there's something different to talking to people when they're inebriated than when they're sober?
Yes. I think so. Listen, I have been high before on camera
Oh, really?
by accident.
Oh, what, they just pulled you in and you were like,
Yeah, so a lot of times in the early days, when we'd be doing regional snowboard contests, you find yourself in like Lake Tahoe or somewhere, and it's a real close knit snowboard community, and people are just stoked that you're there, and they're really particular. So the fact that they're like, if they're embracing you, it just means like you're representing the culture. So all the time, people be like, "Hey man, like, just so stoked to have you in town. Like, I grow this at home, and I'd be honored if you take some, and also like maybe we could smoke a joint together." And be like, "Of course, and thank you." Walk around the side of the pipe, burn one a little bit, and you come back. And one day I'd done that, and I'm coming back around. Contest is over, and my producer comes running up to me. He's like, "Hey, we've been looking for you. We got to reshoot the winner's interview." And you're just like just a realization of like, oh, okay. And you're like really properly high.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how people say that like weed gives you creativity? Yes, it can. But not on camera when you're doing anything of merit, because when your inside voice gets amplified to like 10,000 when you're stoned. So you're now that same question where you're like, "Hey, that last run, it was really solid. What worked for you?" Now you're like, there was something about the way you were coming across the flat bottom on that last run. You could just see the way you were leaving the lip. Like there was a different kind of comfort. Was that just me, or were you just really in another zone that like it just felt different than anything else previously? I mean, especially here in Tahoe, like the energy
and I was vibing with you, and I was
Yeah.
wondering, did you feel me
and then
vibing with you?
and then you put
Did you
the
feel me
mic
when you were
back,
jumping?
and dude's just looking at you like, "What did you just say?"
In your mind, we were like, I just killed that.
I killed it. That's the greatest question ever. You should smoke all the time.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you realize what you did, and you're like, that was a one and done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one and done.
What do you think's the difference between talking to athletes and celebrities, like actor types and stuff?
Actor types, there's a greater chance that they've just never been told no before in their life,
Interesting.
and also probably have never been figuratively or literally punched in the face by life.
And how does that change them in their interviews?
So there's no ability to identify with like regular human shit for a certain sector of them, because especially if they're kids who've come up since being a Disney star or something, where it's just like, imagine no one ever telling you no from like 12 on,
Yeah.
and maybe you are already a little bit of an asshole. And then that just continues as you layer up, continue to lay up, and they're like, oh, I get to still do this in my 20s. Those kind of people are horrible to talk to, because you almost feel, you feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Because they just have an impossibility to deal with like your like basic ass gen pop life, and that you're asking them questions about theirs.
I can see that with Justin Bieber. I feel like the rest of the world's just like alien to him when you see him.
Right, it's an alien existence.
Yeah.
Like you feel for him.
Yeah.
You really feel for him
You
because
can
dude,
see
you're
like
not
the
even
pain a little bit.
Yeah, like you're trying to comprehend this planet, but you're like, I can't breathe your air. Guy. Like, get inside this thing with me. Whereas athletes usually, they've been punched in the face more by life. Like a lot of them haven't.
The job kind of requires it.
Yeah,
like you lose a lot publicly.
You got to lose a lot publicly, and so. Yeah, you understand how temporary all of it is.
And how fickle people can be.
Yeah. Now, that being said, there's a lot of really, really great, super famous people that are just so down to earth right off the bat. You're like, oh, yes, thank you.
Like it could happen.
Yeah, like the first time I met Julia Roberts, it was just like, oh, wow, you're the greatest human being ever.
Like when
That's
you see her, you're like, okay, that's what a movie star is supposed to do. Like she's just like
the homie.
generous and
upbeat. To this day, like a dear friend now in my life.
That's awesome. I feel like Brad Pitt's that way too.
I haven't met him, but I've heard that he's chill as fuck.
He looks like it. I've been watching all the press interviews for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, Brad, he's just
I never
crushing it.
I never met
deep
Brad.
dive.
I never got him.
Yeah.
However, what's his name? Johnny Casamigos. Come on, Sal. You guys drink Casamigos?
No. Is that
I think that's George Clooney.
Clooney,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Clooney's the nicest, coolest guy ever.
I've heard
Yeah,
that
well,
too.
he got famous a little bit later too, right? Like, and he had all those failed pilots.
Yeah.
So
he did like a lot of shitty daytime, etc. So by
he
the
had
time
some
it cracked
humility
off, he
built
was like,
into him.
"Woo, this was
Yeah.
not supposed to happen."
Yeah. It could have not happened very easily.
Young kids that make it really, really big quickly tend to be the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But these days, I don't know. I haven't been. Fortunately, I don't have to dance in that landscape too much.
What do you most want to accomplish with your relationship to the viewer?
I want the viewer to feel like I could hang out. If I knocked on their door, that they'd be like, "Oh yeah, come on in, dude. You want a beer?" Like this, I want people to feel like, "Oh, that's my boy Sal." Like I have a sense of him of who he is as a person based off of what he does, and I'll respect his space because of that, and also like know that we can have something like we can have engagement.
I feel it. Oh, go ahead.
Is there stuff you want to say, but you feel like it wouldn't fit in with that like image, so you can't say it?
It's constantly a dance, and I think that if you want to be good or want to have a long career, you have to take chances.
You got to push that a little bit.
You got to push that a little bit, but you also can't push it for the sake of like, this is going to get likes.
Or this will be different. Like,
This will be different
yeah.
and controversial. Like, you got to push it because of who.
It's like it's urgent.
It's got to come from inside, and it's what you want to get out there, or what you want to get. And it's now in a clout chasing world, it's really hard to watch sometimes how much people are strictly trying to one up each other based off of like emulating other people. And I'm lucky that I don't think. If the necessity for like having a massive social media following would have been pertinent to my sustaining my career and having to like constantly get up and create like this existence for people to take me seriously, I don't think I would have lasted in this business.
I feel like you'd have a knack for it though, because your personality's so like outgoing.
Yeah, I think you would have been good at it too, actually. Because
Yeah.
I think Chad's like the best I know at it, and I
He's got
Thank
a
you.
250,000 followers.
yeah. Yeah.
So he's doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are killing it.
Oh, thanks,
Actually,
man.
you guys should like help me out.
Oh, thanks.
Dude, we'd be happy to do stuff with you. Yeah, if you want to come mess with people
I
in
actually
public
really
with us.
I enjoy your thing, and it would actually be cool to go and be anonymous and wonder if people just have no point of reference as to who I am. So yeah,
Dude, that'd be fun.
let's
Or dude,
let's
like
get it.
yesterday we just danced at the Grove. Like we just put on like some 80s bangers and danced, and like I ripped my tee off, Chad ripped his tee off. Like it's a good wholesome
The
fun.
world needs
Yeah.
that right now.
That's
Yeah,
what people
It's a-
say, yeah.
it's a
yeah,
fucking,
Some people
That's
say
the
it's too
comments we
much,
get.
and both sides, they know.
It's a. Did you just both sides? It's
Is that weak?
it's no. It was weak on my part that I used that as a pun, but it's a fucking dark world out there.
yeah.
And I think that if you can do the types of things that don't prey on people, but force people to laugh, in this, especially now in this crazy ass climate, so necessary.
I think not preying on people's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you're not like you're not fixing someone into a position where they got to look bad. You're giving them like a choice
Yes.
and a genuine choice.
A genuine choice. Do you guys get releases afterwards, or do you
Never.
just like full
No.
send?
We tried
But-
at first, but then we were like, it's just too much time.
What a cool world.
You know, we had
Yeah,
one
we-
release.
Oh yeah, we do.
We had one release, and we had all these people sign it. And then we did this interview with this guy who had been in a fight with a shark, and we wanted him to sign a contract that said there would be peace between humans and sharks. And he got really upset. He's like, I can't sign this. This is nonsense. And then we drove off, and we felt kind of bad, kind of icky. But then he called us. He's like, you can't release that video. And I'm like, dude, you signed a contract. And then he looks at the contract. He says, it says I'm allowed to cancel the contract. I was like, I was like, no, it doesn't. And then
Our guy forgot to take out that line. We're
Yeah.
like, why'd you leave that in there?
yeah. So basically, the contract had no value. I was just like, okay, fuck.
But for
Yeah.
the most part, are people pretty? Chill?
Yeah, I think because we lead with kindness for the
Right.
most part. We're just it's all pretty positive.
Have you been arrested?
No,
I came close a couple times with
Yeah.
I snuck into some events with a friend who looked like the person whose event it was.
Sick.
And the cops got a little frustrated, but never all the way to the station. Just like
Yeah.
sat down and threatened.
Anytime you can exploit elitism and exclusivity is fine by me. What are those neck boy dudes?
Nelk Boys. Yeah.
I saw the one they did at fucking Coachella.
Oh,
that
yeah.
shit was all time.
The clout chasing.
The clout chasing.
Yeah.
And checking followers. and these people are like, these wannabe fucking influencers are taking it seriously. You're seeing it like be the end of people's world.
Yeah.
That brought me joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, those
That's
are
smart.
people no one's like, your heart's not breaking for someone at Coachella. You're just like, yeah, get it.
Yeah.
And with the council too, it's public domain, so they can't do anything about that. And
Right.
also, I think we say we're protected by the Constitution, so they kind of just have to hear us out.
The Consti, bro.
The Consti.
The most fluid document in the world.
Oh, dude, thank God.
And we go to challenging places sometimes because I think it's like I think at the core of that is like everybody should be able to like communicate with each other on some level.
We did get kicked out of
Not
the
always,
Renaissance
there's
Fair.
a line, but
That
But
you
we're
have
not
to work hard
crossing
for.
it.
we did get
Yeah.
got- and it was like they're like, all right, you guys have to wait here. Security's coming. We might call the cops. And like, because we're dressed in tuxedos, like filming
Yeah.
ourselves, like.
yeah, it was just too much of a production. They didn't want us there.
Yeah.
that was funny.
There's that fine line between like, hey, we're just hanging out, and do you have a permit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like and you can see them wrestling with it. The people are watching you and they're like, do I want to? They're like literally going back and forth. They're like,
Yeah.
should I stop this? Should I not? And then after a certain time, I think they just get tired of thinking about it. They're like, just get the hell out of here. I'm tired of thinking about you being here.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a really serious question,
Mm.
and it's very germane to my dog Chad.
Yeah.
When you cut your dreads,
Mm.
Oh, dude.
was that because
yeah.
like
That was a big deal.
yeah, we've come up with stuff where we might have to shave our heads.
Oh no. No,
Chad
dude.
Chad just
Yeah,
had like
straight
a
fear in
light
Chad. Yeah.
attack.
The most
JT's like,
scared he's ever been.
like, how about we shave our heads? I'm like, nope. And I just leave, slam the
yeah,
door,
He just left my place.
and I just do an anger drive.
Yeah.
My DMs.
My DMs.
When I cut my hair,
Yeah, I heard you were coming off a breakup or
Yes.
something, and I get that because
Yeah.
like I just like if I even have like a little tiff with my girlfriend, I'm like I need to shave, like I need to like change something.
this was the heartbreak that they write like #1 songs over.
Mm.
The ones that remain anthems for like decades. This was like full reset. Figuratively speaking, you feel like you lost a couple of limbs and you just don't have a point of reference on living.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't
Damn.
know I didn't know that happened to dudes. Like I thought that I'd landed, and it was like, oh no, it's another 20 floors down to concrete.
Mm.
And when I hit, I just woke up one day and I was like, okay, I gotta make some life changes here. Maybe this will work. I called up my boy and I was like, I'm coming down to the shop. He's like, for what? I want to twist out your dreads. I'm like, no, we're cutting it off today. He's like, you better have a note. I said, bro, I'm coming down. Went down
Like a
there.
note from your
Like it
people
was,
saying it's
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And my buddy Jason had agreed to come and shoot some photos of it. And the first one he cut, like I started crying. It was like a weird, like involuntary.
How long did
like,
you have
emotion.
him? Like
13 years?
Yeah.
13 years.
We put so much work into it, kind of.
I did and I didn't.
Well, it's like
But unbeknownst to you, don't
It's like your
realize
identity.
you don't realize that
Yes.
it has become a perceptive part of your identity.
yeah.
Like you just know you, and
Yeah.
you've happened to look this way.
Yeah.
And so when I cut him, I honestly didn't do it to be shocking. I just needed to do something.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I saw myself in the mirror that I was like, uh-oh. Because I didn't call the agent or the manager.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Or
Dude, I
anyone
know.
first.
Yeah.
If your employers were like, dude.
Because I had
The
had
moneymaker. Yeah.
I had all those conversations before where casually I've been like, I think I'm gonna cut my dreads, and hold on a second, you're on the phone with one of them, and then it's like, I have such and such, I have such on this on phone, and now you're on a group call with like 5 people who are like, in the nicest way possible, saying, don't fuck up our money. Or yours. Don't fuck up your money and don't fuck up our money.
And they're like pleading with you. Right? They're like, come on, man, please.
Please, not yet.
please.
It's not the right time. You know, and we'll get to this point, and then it'll be a thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? I just want a haircut.
Yeah.
And I had never bought. I guess that's the thing, is like, as much as I had become at a certain point relatively famous, especially when I was on E and ESPN at the same time, like shit was popping. Like you're going to certain places and like paparazzi are like, wait, they're taking pictures of me? This is stupid.
Yeah. Did you like that?
There were periods where it was fun.
It was
and
cool.
Then, And then it was fun for like 3 minutes though. And then it
Right.
was like, this is the worst.
And I worry about that sometimes. Like, if it goes away, does that hurt too?
Well, this is the cool thing, is the anonymity that I instantly got. It was like taking a trip back in time.
Yeah.
Like, I would walk past people who knew me and they didn't know me. And then it was interesting because there was when I posted the photo on Instagram, it was just crazy the amount of people who quote unquote are your fans are like, sell out. You sold out. Like, what do you mean? It's like,
You're like, I'm going through a tough time. I had a
sold
breakup,
out.
dude.
Like, I
Yeah.
cut my hair off.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, you did it because I had just signed with Red Bull. Like, well, you know, there must be like some Red Bull NBC thing. I can't believe that you did that. I'm like, I didn't expect all that.
Those extreme sports fans, they're aggressive.
They're aggressive.
They'll get
And
you.
Oh yeah, we got a little.
Yeah.
We did a show
Yeah.
for the World Surf League, and that's the hardest I've ever been roasted by anybody.
Oh, dude, they came at us hard.
Granted, I think the team that we had was great, but like it was hard for me to do the job. It was a hard job.
Yeah.
And then
Surf fans,
Yeah.
they got no patience for
and I don't know if I
I
delivered
mean-
the best product.
In my mind, I was like, I won't be able to surf again. I went to like zeros. I was kind of scared to get out of the car. I was like, I'm on WSL Instagram and people fucking Stab wrote about us. They're like, what the fuck is this? I was like,
Wow.
oh, dude.
You know what? Like, surfers, here's how interesting the surf community is. Just think about this. The greatest surfer on earth who's ever lived, Kelly Slater. Go and read his Instagram, and then you'll realize what surfers are. Like, for the most part, a very bitter, myopic lot that don't necessarily embody the whole, like, hey, man, we're just out here in the ocean.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not really, like, the thing. So, I mean, I get criticized. Every time I do a WSL broadcast, I get eviscerated by people who basically just wish that they were doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And
They
it's-
care so much. They care so deeply.
They care.
About, yeah.
And they, which it's a trip. I always used to say, surfers are kooks, but I love surfing.
Dude, yeah, I felt that way a lot.
Yeah.
In college, I'd surf Santa Cruz a lot.
Mm.
And I'm like, man, like, a lot of the guys are like Steamer Lane and stuff. I was like, I don't want to hang out with any of these dudes.
But,
Yeah, I don't mean not to.
no,
To the audience.
Yeah, you're killing the core, baby.
Guess,
Yeah.
guess who's not paddling out at Steamer
Yeah,
Lane?
yeah.
Sorry,
Like,
dudes.
hey,
But
Sal,
I
weren't
appreciate
you on
your
that?
honesty. Yeah.
Bro, I'll be like, yeah, I didn't say it. I just was next to him.
Yeah, they were like
I
three
didn't know
dudes.
those dudes. I did not alone.
They were like
Yeah.
3 dudes. That's it.
I think that when your sole identity of who you are as a person
Yeah.
is based and attached to this one thing that you do, if that's the only sense of self-esteem that you get, I understand how you would be so precious with it. But it's also a sad existence, because at a certain point, like, that shit's gonna be it's gonna run its course. Like, you can't exist that way as a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some things I wanted to ask you about, because I heard on another podcast with emceeing events. For a while, you were doing it for free.
Yeah, for
Right.
a very long time.
And it's sort of like we do stand up and all that kind of stuff. And like the idea of getting paid for it is that once it starts happening, like you're like, I'm going to get $20. Like what? And because you were talking about how there was a moment where you're like, you sort of realized your worth. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And that's when you sort of found this way to start asking for money.
I'm very impressed with the pre-search. Yeah. What I went through a period where I felt that I didn't know that I had talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, wow, like, you know, I've been able to have this career within the industry that I wouldn't have if these people wouldn't have held doors open for me to get opportunities to get jobs at this brand or whatever it is. So, and I also came in as a representative of the culture. I wasn't trying to get on TV. I literally was like, when they asked me to do the X Games the first time, I said no, because I thought it was cheesy. And my friends were like, no, dude, you got to do that shit for us. Like, go in there and represent us. And when the guy called me back, I said, okay, I'll do it. But I literally said no the first time that they asked me to be on the X Games. It wasn't about trying to be famous, but it was about the culture. So when people would ask me like, hey, would you come and like MC our big like corporate Christmas party or come and do this award show, I was just like, yeah, of course, yeah, I got you guys covered. And I was doing all this shit for free.
Yeah.
And maybe they'd like give me some clothes from one of the brands, etc. Now, and this is when you're on TV. And at a certain point, I had this one friend who's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, these people are playing you.
Yeah.
Like, they're your homies or whatever, air quotes, but like, they're playing you. But I can't, I've known them for years. Like, it'd be weird. Doesn't matter. It's time for business to be business. And I dreaded it for a long time. And then I remember the first time when I asked and said, no, it's going to be like whatever, $1,000. And they were like, okay. And I was like, oh. And it just switched. And then the people who didn't value or respect what I did stopped asking. And people started seeing me less, but I was doing more cool high-end shit, which in turn people would see that. And it just led to more.
Snowballed.
Yeah.
But you got to let go of like this idea, like you got to start giving yourself a sense of value.
Yeah.
Well,
in order
it's
to move
tough
forward.
too when like I think with some of these jobs, it's tough because it feels like a little like vain to say you have talent.
But they're not asking anybody to do it other than you. And there's a reason why they want you to do it so bad. And you have to acknowledge that, like, it's not that the next person doesn't have talent. It's that they don't have what you have to give.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about demeaning, what anyone else does, or that they might not be capable of doing the job, but they're not going to do the job that you're going to do. Your talent is particular to you, and no one can do what you do. And you have to, in this failure-based industry, where like you have to fail more times than you succeed on a regular basis, if you don't hold on to that dearly, you won't last.
Let's go.
I love that.
And that's just basically,
jacked.
that's also life, man.
Fucking jacked.
Yeah. No,
That's just life in general. Like,
Yeah.
whatever it is in your job and what you do. No one can fucking do I can't do what you do or what you do, and vice versa.
Yeah.
The reason why you guys work together is because you do your shit in a complimentary manner.
Yeah.
That's why you're both up there on that fucking. Do you guys get free burgers, by the way?
Our in and outside. No,
No.
we're waiting for them to start knocking.
Work on that.
There's
It's either going to be a
parody law, and
cease,
then there's
cease and
homage
desist
law.
or free burgers.
Well, I'm gonna use the speech you just gave
Yeah.
and call in and out.
Yeah. And we're doing an homage law where
Yeah. Yeah.
we should be protected if we're just trying to make them look
It's
good.
just
and
homage. It's
we
just
look
for the
up to 'em.
love.
Yeah.
But that's when I learned that lesson. That's when it really started to work for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like with what we do, it's you're doing something you love, and then there's like a weird to ask money for is yeah,
It feels like a little like asking too much.
Yeah,
Like it's like
asking
I
too
already,
much,
I already get
yeah.
away with doing this and I get a little bit of credit for it. It's like to ask for money, it's like I'm putting myself on a pedestal.
yeah, but then you just gotta cross that line.
You got to cross that line and then realize, like, oh, if I get some money, I can do this other shit that I've always wanted to
Right.
do,
Yeah.
which money was a barrier, and now like I get to do this shit at another level
Yeah.
and grow. Like, unfortunately, like that's part of how our system works. Is
Yeah.
you got to have the funds to be able to create the platforms to do what you want to do.
And what do you think's been the biggest day-to-day benefit from doing all this? Like, what's the thing where every day you're like, man, I'm glad I did all this? Is there like a...
It's endless, man. I mean, I was just in South Africa for a month working on the WSL. I went and did...
J-Bay.
I went and did Jeffreys Bay. I was sitting there in Jeffreys Bay.
It's the longest left?
Longest right.
Longest right.
I'm a poser.
Man. Was that on purpose?
I
wanted that to be on purpose.
I'm
now I
sorry,
understand
dude.
why you got destroyed.
I know, dude. I read one book on surf. I read one book. I'm like, I'll be good. And then like after 2 months, like the social media guy was like, look, guys, here's the dynamic. Chad knows about surfing. JT doesn't. I was like, I know about surfing.
That's really, really it's the longest right. If you watch it in a mirror, it's the longest left. But it's the longest right in the world. And to be able to do so in South Africa, where, you know, my family's from, was special. And I had more than one moment where I was sitting there. I did like a 2-hour in-depth sit-down with Kelly Slater for the umpth time, you know, in this house overlooking Jeffreys Bay. And we're just shooting the shit and talking about life and what's next. And I'm like, I'm at work right now. And this all started from like answering phones at the front desk at Transworld. Like, I'm winning. Right? I'm playing with the house's money at this point, you know. And you know, I make music, and I today before I came here, I was on an audition for a film, and I've gotten opportunities to do more theatrically, like shit that I've always dreamt of, but there's still these realities that are new realities and new opportunities that are coming from choosing to not be safe. I've had plenty of opportunities to be like, that's probably the safer job.
Yeah.
You know, that's the job that's going to guarantee me like a longer deal. But I'm going to be locked up in doing what other people want me to do more than I get a chance to do what I want to do.
So it feels like you have like a philosophy of saying yes to life.
100%.
Whatever comes your way, just don't think about it. Say yes.
If there's a crack in the window and I can see myself crawling through that space without breaking the window, I'm gonna get in there.
Yeah.
That's just, if I know that I have something to give in a certain space and place, I manifest the shit out of it, and then like given the opportunity, I just try to crush.
Do you still rage?
Yeah, but it's periodically. You know, I don't. You get to a certain age, son, and you don't have the ability to recover.
I think
like
I'm
you
there,
used to.
man. I'm there.
But yeah, they're far and few between. Because you got to pay you got to pay the taxes for your actions. You know, that whole like, we killed it. Should we go again? Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. Now it's just like, talk to me in 2 weeks when I recover.
Dude, yeah.
And get some sort of level of dignity.
What was the craziest safe for podcasting incident you ever bore witness to while raging?
Oh, safe. The craziest safe for podcasting.
Or maybe not safe for podcasting.
Man.
I was just trying to give you...
Just safe for my career and save it for the book also.
That's the move. Philip Ross advice for your memoir: spare no one.
Spare no one. I think one of the just sort of most surreal out of body moments that I look back on was on the Tony Hawk tour. When, you know, we had this bus, it said Tony Hawk Gigantic Skate Park Tours down the side of it, and like, just when it came into town, it was just on. Like, people saw that shit, and it was just literally like they're running out of bars.
The ice cream truck of
like,
partying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The ice cream truck of partying in life is coming to our town. There's been posters
Let's
up.
go.
Like, they've been waiting for us, and like, you pull in the town, there'd be kids like, yeah, this is pre-social media. People are like, yeah, they've already coordinated, and they're like, welcome you into town.
Yeah.
And one night, somehow or another, we convinced the bus driver, we were in Texas, to let us take the bus to the strip club without Tony. Tony's like asleep with his wife and kids. And we pulled up at this spot. I think it was called the Yellow Rose. And I'll just never forget that, like, reception, greeting, and then what would go down.
The good energy that it
The good energy that I look back and I was like, oh, wow. It's a good thing that there was no social media then, because it would have been like at the time, it probably would have been like will the Tony Hawk tour continue?
Yeah, Tony would have had to separate himself from it the next day.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
You're
I
like,
was with my kids.
Yeah.
they're Snapchatting the bus pulling up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been. But yeah, that was.
Did anyone skate inside the club?
No one skated inside the club, but definitely like dudes ended up on the stage, and perhaps there might have been a mutual sort of, would you like to come and check out our stage?
Right.
That happened, yeah.
An exchange of stages.
Stage exchange.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Sal, do you want to answer? We answer listeners' questions.
Sure.
Yeah. I think you'll be fire at this. Chad, was there anything else you wanted to ask that first?
No, I'm good. This has been great. Thank you
Ah,
again for coming on.
Thank you guys for the diligence. These
yeah.
dudes, like, literally, like, asked me in the DMs.
Yeah.
Hey, do you guys have a booker? Yeah, it's called Instagram direct message.
Yeah.
And you asked in a way where it was like, all right, cool. I did a little research. I was like, these guys are smart. They're cool. Seem fun. If I could make the window, I'll do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Legend. Thank you, dude.
Yeah,
It's been awesome, man. All right, first questions. Let me see. I want to get the good ones.
You can get the shitty ones too.
Yeah, thank you. Stokers, if I've ever needed you, it's right now. I'm incredibly stressed. So to give you the rundown, I've been living with my brother and his girlfriend in their apartment, and I usually miss rent payments, so they cover for me, but his girlfriend is always getting on me about it. I don't have much money because I'm still following my passion for music, and I know I'm good enough to make it. For some extra cash, I was able to slink my way into a substitute teaching job. I have no idea what I'm doing teaching, but I think the principal wants to choke me, if you know what I mean. So I'm still here. Now here's where it gets hot. These kids are dummy talented, and we have jam sessions during class sometimes. I want them to understand rock and roll the way I do, so I'm sneaking them out of school to play in the Battle of the Bands. I know this is illegal, but I think if we shred hard enough to Zach's song, I'm assuming that's one of his students, no one will really care. Just let me know if you think I should bail on this or stick with my plan. Thanks, Stokers. You're a couple of bees.
Yeah, I mean,
Jack.
at this point, if this is the big air ramp, you just dropped in on the roll-in. And now you're wondering if you should bail before you hit the kicker. Like, go. You gotta send it across the gap. See what happens when you hit the quarter pipe. Now, you might land in the flat bottom and break yourself, but it's gonna be a great story. I actually think that there's I wish I knew how old the kids were. I mean,
I'd say they're like 11 or 12.
Oh, I mean, there's basically like a sequel to School of Rock. He's on some School of Rock shit.
I'm not familiar.
With School of Rock? Wait a minute. That's basically like the premise for School of Rock.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I would tell you that you probably know what's best for these kids, even above their parents right now. Their parents, want them to succeed in a long-term academic sense, and that's super important. But in the in-between times when they're on their way there, they need someone who understands them, who's going to push them to fulfill their own dreams, not their parents. And I think you could be that guy.
And I think something is telling me that the principal is like a little bit uptight, and you just need her to reconnect with Stevie Nicks.
Yes.
Exactly.
Crank some Stevie Nicks, get her back in the groove so she can get rocking again and enjoy life.
It's the way you move, sing the song, sing, and singing.
I don't know the lyrics. Oh, there we go. That felt good.
Felt great.
Yeah.
We might have lined up.
Please keep me anonymous. What up, Stoke aficionados? One of this squad recently got broken up with by his last, and he is kind of being mopey all the time. And when I say recently, I mean 6 months ago. They dated for 4 months, and he really did like this girl, so it's understandable to have a grievance period. But we don't know how to get him out of this funk. He is kind of a schmoll. A schmoll is a word we came up with for someone in the friend group who nobody likes but keeps hanging out.
Like a renob, which is boner backwards.
And this guy might be a big renob, which is a big boner backwards. As whenever we go out or hang with babes, he kills the vibe by bringing up his breakup. He is a chill dude, but we need a surefire way to help him move on. The squad isn't the same without him, and we don't want to boke him. Boke is to kick him out. But it is getting close to the only option. Love the pod, and thanks for keeping stokers like me amped on life's experiences at all times.
I think you might need to seed the clouds for this schmoll. Just preload the gift card, if you know what I mean. With some type of ladies that are gonna give healthy attention, and maybe get this dude out of the schmoll zone. That's my thing.
The schmoll zone's tough, and I think this guy is, based on the dating numbers, like 6 months of grieving for a 4-month
6 for 4
relationship.
is-
Yeah.
That's tough.
I appreciate the sensitivity, but I got to say it's excessive. So
Yeah.
I think the best thing you can do for this dude is get him doing stuff where it's tough to be a schmoll. Like you're playing pickup basketball, you're going to the beach, you guys are tanning together, you guys are doing a book club, you guys are going paintballing, you guys are going out and getting after it. How's he going to be a schmoll in those experiences?
Yeah, he's
Especially
gotta,
tanning.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, he's got to do activities that take you out of your dome. Tanning, applying
sure.
sunscreen, paintball. You're gonna really bond with some dudes over paintball, and yeah, just get him out there to get him doing activities.
And let him talk about it, but at a certain point, just give him the look. Just
Yeah.
like he'll bring it up and just go, let out a little breath of air, just go, oh.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, all right, I've probably talked about this too many times. Yeah.
I remember I was going through a breakup and I told my dad and he started laughing. And I told my brother about it. He's like, see, it doesn't matter.
Maybe that's probably good though, right?
No, it was good. I
Yeah.
was like, all right, I'm gonna go hit a treadmill.
That's great.
Yeah.
Dear Chad and JT, writing in to ask some advice. I know it will help me. I recently moved from Virginia to Hawaii with my best friend who I consider a blood brother. We are both 21 and going to the University of Hawaii. We have been here for a month and it is amazing. I have a chill job and a place to stay, but no way of transportation other than the bus. I find myself doing everything I love by myself. Any advice on starting over? Sometimes I feel like a small fish in a huge tank full of others. How do you find your people? I also love to play guitar, which I sold my equipment to afford to move out here, but I'm purchasing a new one. Which do y'all think is better, electric guitar or acoustic?
Sounds like real Howley problems, if you ask me. On a rock.
What do you mean?
He sounds like a Howley in Hawaii who's suffering from a loss of sense of identity on his campus of bros on a Hawaiian island. And if I was him, I would go and like insert myself just deep, go find the aloha. And if you search for the aloha, then you're going to find it. You won't even need an electric guitar, or he's just going to go ukulele. And
What do you mean by the aloha?
the aloha is the spirit of the Hawaiian mana, the people, the earth. He's got to go get connected to that. He's got to go ingrain himself in where he is. And the campus is almost like a foreign country within the island. So that's why he feels lost. He's got to go and connect out.
Did you kind of do
Dude,
that,
that
when
was-
you
yeah.
when you moved to Carlsbad? Did you just start surfing
100%.
right away?
100%. It was like,
Yeah.
all right, school full of 2,300 white people, and literally 3 black people, and people being like, you guys don't even swim. What do you mean you're going to learn how to surf? Well, I got 2 choices here. Fuck you, I'm going to kick your ass. Or watch this.
Mm-hmm.
So I opted for just like deep dive, all in, people being like, you're never going to make it. And then before you know it, being like, I made it.
It's cool.
That's awesome. Dude, yeah, I think Sal's advice... Oh, go ahead, Sarge.
No. Go ahead.
I think Sal's advice was awesome. I would just say also read a lot because it's a good way to pass the time. And then when people do talk to you, you have something more interesting to say.
Yes. Books.
Yeah.
Shits have been helping dudes win for years and years and decades.
And then, yeah, the people in the story you'll relate to, and then you won't feel as alone.
Yeah, you'll have fire vocab to, like I just learned the word indignant. I'm really pumped on it. I've used it like 20 times this week. Even though I don't really get indignant, but I'm like, if this were the... I could get indignant here, but
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
Yeah,
It was funny yesterday when you're like,
I'm
I'm
gonna
indignant over how indignant I am. I was like, damn,
I'm going
dude.
to remain
yeah.
chill
Yeah.
and not be all indignant on your ass. I've always said this. The more syllables you can fuck with, it doesn't matter the size of your penis. So, syllables actually, the more, less monosyllabic.
There's a monosyllabic guy out there with a little dick, though, right now,
Right.
who's going, no!
But listen, girth and length will come with more words. Because just go get your word game up.
Yes.
And just watch how all of a sudden people are looking in your region being like, are you packing something in there? Like, yes, fucking knowledge. Dick knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yeah, my shorts are fat with knowledge.
Yes.
Dudes, I gotta run and I gotta get to this show by 8:30.
You gonna go do comedy right now?
Yeah.
Go crush that shit for free.
Toni Morris said this about language. We die, that may be the meaning of life, but we do language. That may be the measure of our lives.
Bang. May she rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
The Bluest Eyes.
Published her first novel I read when she was 38 or 39.
39. She was
on.
also a single mother, and she would get up. She was a single mother of 2 or 3 kids, and she would get up at 4 a.m. to write. She literally wrote like on borrowed time. She's a classic example of, there's no excuse for you not to be able to do your shit other than you don't want to really, or you're scared. And she was a woman, and a black woman at a time when no one had any respect for her. Like, she's just amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have time for one more?
Yeah, I gotta get there by 8:30. I'm at 8:26.
Where are you doing the stand up tonight?
Well, I'm going to Largo.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going. I have my college buddies
You're going
meeting
to
me there.
Oh,
support.
okay.
And
right on.
I have to. Can you go in late
No,
To stand up?
it's disrespectful.
You can be late to stand up.
to Largo?
Oh, you're going to watch?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be late to Largo. Just tell them to leave the tickets at the front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're at Will Call.
Maybe you'll
Yeah.
get heckled from the stage.
It's a great venue.
Possibly.
Look at this guy.
It's Nick Kroll. I've never seen him.
Nick Kroll and friends?
Nick Kroll's amazing.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
I was in a movie with Nick Kroll.
Which one?
Uncle Drew.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Same
nice.
scene
How was
together.
Kyrie? What's he like?
I didn't meet Kyrie. He wasn't in my scene. But it was Lil Rel, Nick Kroll, and myself.
Nice.
That's awesome.
All right, what up, Super Stokers? I come to you today with a serious question. This summer, my consumption of the velvet grass has reached a new level. I've been burning bush nearly every day. I don't think it has taken my life over, but I'm worried about the impact on my dome, especially because I'm only 16. What do you guys think is a healthy amount of coleslaw to consume? Shout out Brady Gorman for being the biggest fan of the pod out there. What up, Brady?
Yeah, I would take the Joe Rogan route. Abstain for now, and then once you have your own podcast,
Let it rip.
yeah, let it rip.
Yeah, I get stoned a lot,
I
but too much.
did not start because my dad was smoking weed around me all the time. It just wasn't. I was like, oh, it's whatever. I never felt like I'm gonna smoke weed. So I didn't smoke weed until my 20s.
Yeah.
I will say that I got some very distinct memories of people who started smoking weed too early, and then they never evolved past the age they started smoking weed at.
Yeah, I'm glad I
Yeah.
didn't start young. I know those people who were just stoned all the time and they don't smoke weed anymore, but they still look like hella high.
Yeah,
Just in
16 I
general.
think is too early to be doing it every day.
Yeah, it's like, you shouldn't be drinking every day all day. At a certain point, everyone goes through you'll go through your period where you're like, okay, I'm going to smoke less. I'm not going to
Yes.
stop, but I don't need to be high all the time.
Yeah.
And then there's that line from The World's End where he's like, how do you know what you're like when you're normal if you're fucked up all the time?
And also, for me, I never really got too into weed because it never vibed with me. I would get paranoid. But there was especially in high school, there's a huge part of me that I wanted it to be my identity. I wanted to be like a stoner,
Right.
because I'm like, those guys are so cool. They have bongs. You
They
go
don't-
to a party, they have the hookup.
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck. But once you take a step back and you see people who, have a little more together and they're just, just try to
Disassociate from what's cool
for a
then.
16-year-old. I don't know
Yeah.
if this will make sense, but try to disassociate yourself from that perceived identity if that's what's going on.
Yeah, you're like the cool system is pretty skewed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't last very long. It's
Especially
hard
'cause-
when it's your whole life though.
Yeah,
but
especially
trust me.
it's legal now too, so
Yeah.
not that cool.
Yeah. Don't do it. Pass on grass for now.
And don't get dependent on it because then you feel like you can't do stuff without it, and that's a weak position to be in.
Super
Oh,
weak.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it will really, really, really interfere with your ability to touch people who you want to touch
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
horizontal fashion.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any patience for it.
Yeah, well, even like not in a horizontal fashion. Like it can shut down your ability to be emotionally available to people.
Yes.
Yeah, like you don't want to hurt people. I mean, it doesn't go this far all the time. I don't mean to be dramatic, but I've been there where I was too stoned to vibe with people who wanted to vibe with me in a meaningful way.
Miss out on
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
It's also help with that stuff sometimes.
When I slowed down drinking and stuff after college, and my relationships, they all improved.
Isn't that
Especially with
strange?
my parents, because I would talk to my dad or my mom without shame. I'd be like, "What up, Dad?" He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Making progress."
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, who are you? And what have you
Yeah.
done with my son?
Yeah. He's like, "All right, that's good. You're gonna go Banana Republic, get some sweaters. We're gonna compound."
But you had
on
to draw
this."
the line there. You were like, no,
Yeah, I was
thank
like,
you, sir.
I was like, "Dad, I know who I am. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to PacSun. I'm getting."
I'm going to be sober
Bill of
at
Ventures.
PacSun loading
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna like dress you like a real East Coast boat shoe wearing Chad.
Yeah. He's like, all
Just
right.
a different Chad he had in his mind.
All right.
Different Chad.
New
Different
backstory.
Chad.
We're from
Yeah.
Nantucket.
Dad, I like your Chad. I've seen the brochure. I'm just gonna stick with the Chad that
Son,
I am.
I want you to take this sweater and tie it over that Oxford. Just let the arms hang just casually around the chest.
Did your dad ever think you were living like too straight of a life?
Yes, he called me square often.
Really?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
And it was with merit. I grew up in a really conservative Christian household with my stepdad especially. So, yeah, I was super square. And I thought, like, everything that you did that was risque, like, you were going to die. God was going to kill you for it.
So your mom went the other direction with her next husband, who was like,
Oh, my mom went a complete other direction, yeah. It was a trip. So my like the lives that I lived with my dad and at home, they were literally two different planets. And my stepdad would work to like basically deprogram me and make me unlearn any of the fun that I had with my dad.
but I feel
vice
like
versa.
because of that, you can get dropped anywhere and you can make it work.
100%. It actually ended up being a cool byproduct that I'm good in any room.
That's cool.
Yeah, because you came in here and we got to end, but
Yeah.
you were phenomenal, Sal. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Well, also like if people got to be desirable to be around. You guys are real cool.
Oh, thank
Thank
you,
you,
man.
dude.
Appreciate it.
Dude, that's huge.
Dude, you're like
Dude, whoa.
you're a childhood hero. of
Sorry,
mine,
I didn't
so,
mean
like,
to,
where you
I lost
going?
all that cool vibe right there. My bad, dog.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I like
Yeah.
I like where you're going, man. It gives me hope.
Oh, thanks,
Oh,
man.
thank you, dude.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like I said, dark world needs light. Keep fucking shining it.
Thanks,
Let's
man.
go.
Well, we're pumped to have you. It's an honor to have met with you and talked with you.
Yeah, thank you so
cool.
much, man.
Thanks.
Boom,
And-
clap, Stokers.
To all the stokers out there, all those super uber bros that have endured this conversation, some of which might be a little heavy for you. Just put that shit in your back pocket. You'll have access to it later, and you'll be like, "Fuck, you know what? That was worth it."
Dude,
I love it.
love that. All right, well,
Guys, thank you so much for listening. Sal, thank you for coming. JT,
Chad, thank you for,
existing.
yes, you too, brother.
Well, we could just do beefs and bays. All
We'll come in on Monday or something before the
yeah.
other one. Yeah.
right, cool. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next week.
Enjoy the beefs and babes when we record them next time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, thanks again. That was
Dude,
so
Sal,
fun.
that was awesome, man. Thank you so much.
No worries, dudes. I hope I didn't talk too much
No, it was
dude, you're
great.
so
for your
good, man.
trusty
Yeah, you're
editor.
What's up, Stokers? I'm interrupting this dank episode to remind you guys that we are once again brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped, thank you so much for keeping our trims pubed, our dongs clean, the lawns of our pubes freshly cut with your landscaping materials that translate into manscaping. And guys, Stokers, they are doing a fan giveaway this month. I mentioned it up top, but I'm going to reiterate again. We want you guys to sell in your best or worst manscaping stories, and we'll read them on the show. So send in those stories. Tell us about your manscaping experiences. Tell us about how you got those trims pubed and how you got your dong looking fresh, or if you attempted to make it look fresh and things went awry. You know, maybe the Kool-Aid man kicked in the door and disrupted your sesh, and then you nicked your balls because you weren't using Manscaped products. Anything like that. So send that in, and the best or worst story gets $500 to spend on the Manscaped site. And yeah, so we will announce the winner at the end of this month, and you will be blessed with some Manscaped goods. Guys, you got to check out Manscaped, okay? They have the best in ball-maintaining materials. You know, Manscaped will get you prepared for the job. Precision tools for your family jewels, dudes. In my experience, yeah, the ladies love it. You know, my GF, whenever it's like she's seeing the gold in Pulp Fiction. You know, she looks at it, she's like, "Whoa, that's huge," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's something you could create a movie around," which is dank. So, guys, check out Manscaped, the Lawnmower 2.0. It's gentle and prevents you from nicking your sack. Do not let your dong go wild. It's time to get clean, you dirty dogs, okay? So use code GODEEP at manscaped.com. You'll get 20% off plus free shipping. Yes. Thank you, dudes. And all right, should we hop into that? Was legit with Sal. He's a beast.
Yeah, he was great.
We were recording this the Monday after because we did the full time with Sal.
Mm-hmm.
But that was fun.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, it was funny talking to him, hearing his voice in person because I've listened to it for so long.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Yeah, and it was in a brand new context too.
Yeah, it was cool.
He wasn't talking about hucking 720s. He was talking about how he feels.
Yeah, it's a different Sal that we haven't experienced before.
Yeah. Dude, so we have to do our babes, beefs, and legends now. So, Chad, I ask you, who is your babe of the week?
My babe of the week is Brian Deegan. You
Yeah,
might know him
baby.
from motocross. Guys, he was huge in the early to mid 2000s. The Metal Militia, Brian Deegan, a freaking beast. I was just watching some of his best trick clips. One of my favorites is where he pulled off that backflip 360. And I just wanted to give him props, and this is sort of X Games theme because we had Sal Masekela on. I wanted to give Brian Deegan props because I can't remember which one. I was researching YouTube for the best trick, but I can't remember. I couldn't find the one, but I believe it was like a flat 360 or something he pulls off, or like a corkscrew nunchuck. I don't know.
I remember those.
You do?
Yeah.
That was legit. So he pulls off this trick. It's huge. And he's like the bad boy of motocross. So what does he do to celebrate? He doesn't just jump around, arms around, like, oh, I did it. He rides up to the top of the ramp, does a fat burnout for like a minute. And I remembered that moment. I think about it almost every day now. It's a total babe moment, and I just want to give him props for that. Metal Militia.
Me too.
Thank you for burning rubber inside the arena in Carson City and showing us all that
Deegan rules.
Deegan knows how to celebrate. So that's my babe.
Dude, I remember that. That was an interesting time in motocross because like video games were coming out where the tricks would be in the game, and I'd be like, I wonder if anyone's ever going to do this trick. And then the
Yeah.
X Games would come up, and I'd be like, someone did the trick.
Dude, they really kept elevating it.
Yeah, no, it was like the space race
Yeah.
of motocross.
Yeah. And it's like,
Who's going to get to the moon first? That was the backflip.
yeah, and it's like you feel like the ceiling is set because they're on a dirt bike. It's so heavy.
Yeah, what's
It's
there
like-
left to do?
They've done the backflip. I think that's it, and then these dudes just keep, double backflip, flat 360, that fucking corkscrew thing where they like jump and then do a 360 over the bike, a barrel roll over the bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was legit.
Yeah, that was cool too when guys would disconnect from the bike, do the body roll, and then grab
Yeah.
back on because you're turning your back to your bike.
Yeah,
35, 40 feet in the air.
yeah. Do you have a favorite trick?
Probably that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even it's like a super old one, but I love the when people started doing the Superman where you just let your feet off, and then when
Yeah.
they would do the tail grab Superman. So they'd float to the back of the bike, grab the back of the bike, be hanging out horizontal, and then pull themselves forward and stomp
Yeah.
it. Yeah. That was so insane.
Dude, what really wets my beak is the classic tail whip.
Oh, it's a great trick. Yeah.
A fat tail whip really just sort of gets my juices flowing.
Yeah, because there's a lot of attitude in that move.
Yeah.
What up?
It's classic, and you can really you show a lot of personality in it.
It feels like you're smacking a balloon with the back of your bike 40 feet in the air. Just
Yeah.
Boom.
Like Deegan's tail whip versus Pastrana's, totally different.
Yeah, a lot of different personality, a lot
Yeah.
of different nuance.
Yeah.
Dude, my babe of the week is Pat Benatar,
Oh,
1980s singer. I just think her music gets me so jacked up. Like if I'm driving and the song Invincible comes on, I feel invincible. And I appreciate her giving me that juice. And then she's also got some ballads and some really nice love songs like Love is a Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I want to write a musical about her music. I know she did one about her life, but mine would be about a guy who works at a factory and falls in love with the factory owner's daughter. And then he has to sue the factory because his dad got a bad illness working there. And it becomes like a courtroom drama, but with song. And I'm just really jacked on the idea. And I think I want to thank Pat Benatar because each one of her songs feels like a full story. So you're like, oh, this, yeah. And she's, she's badass. She
Yeah.
takes it to you. She says, hit me with your best shot.
Yeah. Love is a Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
I was out. You told me about that you were listening to her, so I put on some of her jams. Dude, I fucking floored it in my hybrid.
Yeah, Jon Stewart had a good line about Bruce Springsteen where he said his songs don't make you. They make you feel not like a loser. You feel like you're a character in a movie about losers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Pat Benatar's got a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Dude, who is your legend of the week?
My legend of the week is this YouTube channel, Studio Binder. I've been really interested in filmmaking and directing and writing and just all sort of facets of that stuff. So Studio Binder has a bunch of editing too. I was on YouTube and I saw this like how Tarantino. It was like the first one was like how Tarantino directs a film, how Tarantino writes a film, and then I was looking at like editing and it's just like I love it. If you guys are interested in any of that stuff, check it out. It's just like really cool to like get some technique to get your perspective on the actual technique that these guys use, and just to have a better understanding of what's going on in movies. So Studio Binder, one word. They're legit. You can learn about Tarantino, just all these little nuances in like Tarantino movies, and like he did a thing on Christopher Nolan, David Fincher, and it's dank. So
nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
My legend of the week is Vince Vaughn.
Oh, nice.
I love Vince Vaughn. He's just a cool, fast-talking, witty dude, and he's big. I first fell in love with him in the movie Swingers, where he plays Trent T, the coolest guy in LA. But the best part about him is that even though he's always just trying to like hook up with chicks and like sound badass, at the end of the day, what he cares about most is his buddies. Mm-hmm. He's really got Mike's back, and he wants him to be up on his feet and feeling good again. And I think I really was inspired by that like coolness matched with his like, good intentions and good heart. Yeah. Like even when Mike like blocks him from hooking up with like a girl he's interested in, like he doesn't really get mad at him. He's just like a little bit frustrated. Yeah, which was like very compassionate on his part. And then, obviously, Wedding Crashers, Old School, Starsky and Hutch. He's been in a lot of funny movies. And then, he's gone into drama too with The Cell and True Detective, some of which was misses, but I like that my dog is, stretching outside his comfort zone. But the thing I like the most about Vince Vaughn is that he seems like he's Vince Vaughn even when he's not in a movie. Mm-hmm. Like these are TV shows, but they're like real. Like Dinner with Five or Dinner with Guests or Dinner with Friends was a Jon Favreau IFC show where they talked about movies. Vince Vaughn is like talking shit the whole time and being hilarious, and like he pushes it to the edge where you start to dislike him, but then he makes it funny again. You're like, no, I love this guy. Yeah, and he's doing that, and it's like real. He's just having dinner with these people. And then on Mark Maron, he was so good. It was like a master class in how to deal with like a passive-aggressive smart person. Like Vince Vaughn just wouldn't let him do it. Like Mark Maron would be like, oh, so you were like a athlete, like jock in high school? Like, but kind of putting this like negative tone on it. And then Vince Vaughn's like, what's wrong with that? What, do you hate my Letterman jacket? You want to wear my Letterman jacket? I'll just give you my Letterman jacket. It's not a big deal. And then like Maron he couldn't spin that. And I was like, dude, what a beast, bro. Yeah. It was in front of a live audience. So I think Vince was just like, yeah, he was like, no, you're not going to do me like that. So, yeah, that's my legend of the week, Vince Vaughn. You're so fucking money, dude. You're so money, dude. All right, Chad. What is your beef of the week?
My beef of the week takes me back to the gym. So when I warm up, I like to hit the assault bike, work full body, get that fan going, get it fucking moving, get that air blowing because I'm full fanning it out. Legs and arms toning up, and I like to get in the zone. And there's this dude every time I go, he wants to use it too. There's only one. And he's just giving me daggers the whole time.
Really? I hate that.
And I'm like, dude, like, first off, like, what are you doing? You don't have to give me daggers. I know you want to get on the bike, but I'm going to do my full 20 minutes, all right? So you giving me daggers, you're not going to pressure me on it, all right? I bet his name is fucking Carl. I'm just guessing. And, dude.
Marks.
Go push a fucking sled. Go do some pull-ups. Go get into your own workout instead of sitting there staring at me while I fucking break a massive sweat, all right? Because you're impeding on my workout, and you're making me feel like I need to rush it, and I don't want to rush it. I want to get in the zone, and I want to get those endorphins flowing, and you're blocking the endorphins, all right? So I just want to send a huge, massive suck it to this dude who gives me daggers every time. Oh, are you going to use it? Are you, how much longer are you beyond that? How much longer are you beyond that? As long as I want to be, because I got the assault bike, all right? It's the only one, and you can eat a giant dick.
The gym rule is kind of like finders, keepers, losers, weepers. Like if I beat you to the squat rack, I got it for as long as I want it. That's just the unfortunate way these things shake out.
Yeah, guess what, Carl?
But we're all dealing with it.
Yeah, early bird gets the fucking worm, all right? And the worm is the assault bike, and it's delicious.
Yeah, and, you know, the bird that's jealous doesn't stand by you while you eat your worm. You know, it keeps flying to go get its own worm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not this worm.
Yeah, just sitting on a bench, just, like, looking at you.
Yeah.
And you're like...
I've done it, yeah.
You're just like, what, dude?
Go.
What?
Go.
What, dude?
Especially for cardio, because cardio can take a while. You know what I mean? It's one thing to sit there if a guy's doing, like, you know, bicep curls on the pulley, but, like, because that's going to be, what, 3 sets, 10 reps. It's going to be a couple minutes max. But if someone's doing cardio, they could be doing that all day. Yeah,
I guess my beef is also with crunch to the gym.
Get another one.
Yeah, why do you only have one?
That's how it is with squat racks. I'm like, the squat racks are always taken. So just get an extra couple squat racks.
Yeah.
Lose a couple of these Nautilus machines that we know don't even really work that well.
Yeah.
But just trick people who aren't serious gym people into thinking they're doing work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That fucking ski machine.
Yeah.
Get that out of there. That's my beef.
It's good beef.
What's your beef?
I think a lot of people are going to be beefing with that beef in a good way. My beef is Hard Knocks, HBO's behind-the-scenes reality show about training camp in the NFL. It is one of the best shows of all time. Nothing gets me jacked up like seeing Chris spirals fly through the air set to a badass, you know, rhythm and blues soundtrack, or watching awesome buff football players banter and talk shit. It's the best. But this season, they did the Oakland Raiders, and I don't like it. I don't think there's any really super sympathetic guys on the team. I mean, I know they're going to get me invested in some of the guys trying to make the roster, but I mean, of the studs, they're all kind of annoying. Antonio Brown, who, you know, is one of my favorite football players of all time, he's just kind of an annoying dude right now. Like, he can't stay out of the news for 2 days in a row. And then they got Richie Incognito on the team. Mm-hmm. Richie Incognito's been kicked off 8 teams for a variety of reasons, and he threatened the people at his dad's funeral home to let him cut off his dad's head, or he was coming back with a shotgun he had in the car. He's wild.
What?
Yeah. And dude, he's built like just the ultimate bully. He's just like 8 kegs transforming into one. And
wait, how'd that transpire?
He was like, he was really freaking out. He freaks out sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think he thought his dad wanted to be cryogenically frozen. So he went into the burial house or whatever before they put his dad in the ground. He's like, give me the fucking head. And they were like, sir, you can't cut off your dad's head. He's like, if you don't let me cut off my dad's head, I'm going back out to my car and getting a rifle and I'm killing all of you. And now he's back in the league. And you know what Hard Knocks is going to do? They're going to make him sympathetic. Incognito's a smart guy.
Yeah.
He's already in the first episode, like being like Mr. Chummy teammate. And I believe he is that guy to a certain extent because all of his teammates tend to like him because he's such a warrior. But, yeah, he's kind of an asshole, and I don't like him getting those episodes.
Yeah.
Even though I think everyone should have a path to redemption, I guess. Yeah.
It's good.
Aaron, you know about Incognito?
Excuse me. Yes. Didn't he like bully a teammate to the point where that guy left the team?
That's what he's most famous for, is
the
bullying
Dolphins?
Jonathan Martin on the Dolphins.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then Jonathan Martin tried to come back to another team, but I think that was one of those things where if you're in the NFL, unfortunately, more people are going to side with the bully than the guy who got bullied. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I stopped watching football.
Damn.
Yep.
Decisive Aaron.
Chad, what is your quote of the week?
My quote of the week comes from Cameron Poe from Con Air. A true gentleman, a hero. He's talking about his time in jail when his wife sent him a little, fucking, what are those things called? Like
Those pink.
No, that's the quote. But when you get like a package full of treats.
Care package.
A care package, yeah. He's like, it was pink coconut. Hold on. Those pink coconut things that made me quite popular. I met a guy the other day, Baby-O. He sure does love him. That's my quote.
He's a good writer.
Yeah.
Dude, my quote of the week is from Remember the Titans. Coach Yost, played by Will Patton, I think in the semifinal game where the refs have been dogging them. The refs have been paid off to make them lose. But then Yost is like, I'll take everybody down. You got to call a fair game. The refs agree. And then one of his star defenders, Petey, kind of is being a little bit of a diva. So Coach Yost says to him, get out of here. You want to be a star player? Give me a star effort. Petey walks away. He can't handle the criticism. And then Coach Yost goes, all right, forget about him. Allen, you're in. And then he goes, all right now. I don't want them to gain another yard. You blitz all night. If they cross the line of the scrimmage, I'm going to take every last one of you out. You make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans. Then they go out there and they start beating ass. And then Yost just goes, ha ha, leave no doubt.
Nice. We're doing the getting after it thing?
Yeah, Chad, what is your phrase this week for getting after it?
When I want to get after it, I butter the skillet.
Nice, dude.
What's yours?
I forgot to think of one, so now I'm just trying to do one. Let's put on our goblin mask.
Spooky.
Yeah.
It's a precursor to an upcoming episode. Because we got a horror movie guy.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it.
Sweet. Guys, thank you so much for listening to episode 86.
Thank you to Sal Masekela for coming in.
Thank you, Sal. You're a legend. We'll have to have him back sometime. And write in those reviews. We love those reviews. And stay stoked, guys. And get manscaped. Later.
If you need advice, these guys are real